Hi, everybody. Welcome to Destiny Arising, our virtual summit. Reset for Success is our theme for 2021. And we know that because of COVID and all the things that are happening, we are going virtual. And I am Dr. Teresa Phillips, CEO and founder of Destiny Arising, a movement that is empowering people in all 7 cultural spheres of influence. And we're inviting you to participate by going to destinyarising.net and subscribing and becoming a member so that you can have contacts that we are getting ready to share with you. And we want you to know that we are your #1 cheering squad. Yes, we are. We are your cheerleaders, and we're excited that you have joined us for this summit this year. And right now, I want to introduce to you who I call the media shepherd to the prophets. And, to other people as well that are not totally prophetic, but he is the media shepherd. And believe it or not, this man, David Cranfill, happens to be an ordained minister. And today we are talking about the media mountain. And I really feel that he basically owns the media mountain, but I don't believe he could have owned it if he hadn't had the faith-based initiatives that are in his heart that are there. And he has been a pastor. He is a minister. If you want to get a hold of him, he's going to tell you how to get a hold of him. He's going to tell you about his website. This is the man that runs Kingdom Flame. And we love this ministry so much. And he's part of the 7 mountains. He's got the faith mountain, the family mountain, the media mountain, the arts and entertainment mountain, the business mountain, the education mountain. He's in all 7 cultural spheres of influence. And we want you to be enriched today by Dave Cranfill. So Dave, welcome to Destiny Arising.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Phillips. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we're so glad to have you. And I'm so excited that this time I'm the one behind the camera and you're in front, and we're doing the best that we can. You've taught us all a lot. You've taught us so much, and we're just so excited that you're part of us today. And for those of you that don't know Dave Cranfill, you need to sign up for Kingdom Flame because there's a
It's
lot.
free.
Kingdom Flame, yes, and it's free. There's a lot on Kingdom Flame that will give you access to knowledge and spheres of influence that you never knew possible. And Dave Cranfill has been a cheerleader for Destiny Arising since the beginning. And so, Dave, I want to ask you, how is it that this ordained minister, this pastor, has become the shepherd, the media shepherd to so many prophets and ministries around the world?
Well, I want to give you a mental picture and imagine like Daniel Boone when he led his party into the wilderness. He had several families with him, and they're wearing buckskin, and they're kind of groundbreakers. Like many in the body of Christ, Janet and I were ordained back in 1996 as church planters. I was a preaching elder in a church plant, so essentially an associate pastor in a church of about 250 people, and doing hospital visits and preaching once a month maybe, and doing that kind of thing. But I also ran an audio company. I had a loudspeaker company and had things, and this was in the 1990s. And about 1999, everything went to China, and we weren't making any money. So I actually went sideways into the telecommunication business. I was an architect for Motorola and actually helped bring you the smartphone. So when we were at Motorola, some of the Motorola architects and I were talking about, well, what is this idea of streaming, live streaming? And back in the day, it was experimental. So a guy that works with me a lot right now is a guy named Stuart Rex. And he and I in 1999 were sitting on a couch at about 2 a.m. brainstorming. And we were imagining how we could do live streaming to the planet for the gospel. And at this time I was, headed off to Motorola, and he was a radio communications engineer, like a sound man for a major nationally syndicated radio show. And so back in that day, you had to build your own servers. You had to use experimental software. There was no Facebook. YouTube was a baby. There was nothing live. And so He downloaded the experimental Microsoft server and worked with a guy named Kim Clement to start streaming live. I, using another Motorola architect, downloaded the Apple experimental server, put it at the Chicago Board of Trade, and started streaming Saturday Night Holy Ghost meetings. And we were arguably the very first people streaming because you had to have your own server then. And Kingdom Flame still is like the last of the independent small Christian networks. We still maintain our own servers. We still do not answer to Facebook or YouTube. Now, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, but I believe there's coming a time, we were necessary early on. So early on, we provided servers for a guy named John Paul Jackson. He was the first or second partner in the Kingdom Flame project, and he funded one half of our servers, one half of a server. And the idea is we would do these live meetings, and 1,200 people would be watching. Well, Kingdom Flame powered every live stream he ever did. And then we powered we split a server with a guy named Mahesh Shavda and powered his meetings. And then we started getting to know a guy named James Gall, and he leased half a server, because back in the day, you had to build your own network. You had to have your own stuff. So the answer is I was a bivocational minister and system architect at a Fortune 100 company, and the Lord used me to move Christianity into streaming. Okay, now money has come in. I mean, we did Facebook Live on Kingdom Flame's Facebook page 2 years before Facebook did Facebook Live. We did it with our own servers ported into our channel. So we have been technology architects and groundbreakers. Now, we're in this awkward period where then everybody said, oh, now that Facebook and YouTube Live are free, all the Christians have run off there, and we now are basically idling. We only really use the Kingdom Flame network just for Kingdom Flame. Wow. And now people are calling me going, oh, this guy had 225,000 subscribers on YouTube and got canceled last week. Okay, now if I name the guy, I'll get canceled too, but just go Google it. Okay, he wrote a book on Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and he got canceled because he said the wrong thing, and Google corporate canceled him. 225,000 subscribers. So now people are calling me back going, okay, you were there early and we used your network of things, and then we all went off to Facebook and YouTube, but now they're canceling us. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. So we're in this awkward period where maybe we will now again have a second phase of influence. Does that make sense? Where yes, now people are saying, oh, maybe Christian independent broadcasting has to arise. I mean, you helped pioneer it, and then Vimeo came in and YouTube came in, and all of these things came in where everybody does a Zoom meeting for free on Facebook. It may look amateurish, but it's free and they can go live. And the cool part is that in breaking this ground, we helped a number of ministries through the COVID nightmare. I literally repaired people's cameras. I told people, all right, here's how you get streaming. And so in phase one of Kingdom Flame, we were the pioneers, and then we're like, okay, we're just gonna now be our little TV station. Our TV station runs 24/7. We have a lot of cool people. Patricia King's on there, Matt Sorger's on there. We've got some amazing churches. Dr. Phillips is on there, releasing words on our program, The Edge. Got a lot of cool stuff, and we've got on demand just like Netflix. And about 10,000 logins, a little over 10,000 logins. So we're like a small Netflix now. But now things are coming full circle because all the people that ran off to do their live streaming on YouTube and Twitter and everything are getting banned. The president of the United States gets banned. People with 225,000 subscribers just got banned permanently because they were talking about a man who was killed by the Nazis who was a minister. Okay. Understand, guys. So we're in this awkward time where we helped pioneer this, and then everybody went off to do their own thing, and now they're coming back going, tell us what to do. So I'm praying, okay, Lord, what does phase two of Kingdom Flame look like? This is the post-streaming world, because anybody can live stream. The quality is usually pretty bad, and they really need to change their thinking. And in a little while, you can ask me questions. I'll tell you how pastors and ministers and apostles need to change their thinking on this, in my opinion. And what gives me the right to say something? Well, I've been doing this for 12, 13 years before it was easy. And so there's a little bit of wisdom learned the hard way. Um,
So
so
you
anyway,
really are a forerunner in this. And ladies and gentlemen, this man is a planter. And not only is he a planter, but he's an exhorter. This man has exhorted so many people in this media mountain that even though people ran and did something else with them, they have to remember where they started. And Dave, I want to tell you, we remember where we started. You were with us when we were doing the encounters and you were streaming with us. As a matter of fact, we brought you
2009.
in to help stream when we brought in Kim Clement and Dr. Lance Wallnau, and you were part of that. And this was all in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. This was in the beginning. But today, we're seeing an acceleration very quickly in media. We're seeing brand new gadgets come out, all new lighting come out. It's easy to get it on Amazon. It's easy to get it here. It's easy to get it there. But what are some of the things, Dave, that people are finding difficulty with, that you could give us some nuggets that could actually help us do a better job at what we're doing?
Okay. So I believe that this whole COVID thing and what I consider to be some governmental oppression. I mean, they said that a church wasn't um, an essential business, but you could go to Walmart and 500 people can be in Walmart, but 50 can't be, 50 people social distance can't be in a church. So between COVID-19 and governments, in my opinion, going where they shouldn't go, telling the church what to do, they have changed church. And so here's the thing. My first thought to pastors would be, okay, you had to go to streaming, you had to go to online services, you had to add that, and it's now probably permanent. I think that media streaming of Christian events, Christian conferences, Christian schools will be a requirement now. Okay, but my first word would be get past it. Okay, because here's the deal. Everybody is like, okay, we're streaming, we're online, we're on whatever. Okay, guys, there are 20,000 churches streaming live every Sunday morning. Okay, so
Wow, that's a lot.
so you did this to survive COVID and to survive the government interfering with your ministry. That's cool. You survived. Now, start using the anointing God gives you as a pastor or as an elder, as an apostle, as a prophet, and start thinking building. It's like, okay, now that media is a permanent part of church and a permanent part of business, every website that's any good has some videos on it showing their product. They have a spokesperson interacting, saying, this is why you need Tide. Okay. And it may only be a 30-second video, but it's interactive. Okay. So this whole media shift has raised the expectations. But what I see is a lot of people, like they barely got themselves streaming and they're really not moving to be really competitive with it. The
So
quality is low.
do you believe that we need to be competitive with it?
Well,
And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, because you just said a word that just really, do you really think that, how do I put this? I think this, but do you really think that the church could get ahead of the game with a lot of other things?
well, a lot of it can be attitude. You may not have
Mhm.
the money to buy a, more expensive camera or other things, but here's a thought. There's a lot of buildings in American church and the attendance in person is down. So guess what? We're not going to be necessarily building bigger buildings right now. There's a glut of buildings. You need a church building, go buy one. All right, they're empty. There's plenty of them. My point is that, okay, now you've gotten through survival where you got just enough stuff to stream your services. Now that you're doing it, realize that a percentage of your budget needs to be allotted to do media with excellence. So improve the video, improve the audio, go to multi-camera shots. Because here's the thing. If you just have one shot and it doesn't ever change, people fatigue in 15 minutes, okay?
That was a question I was going to ask you, is what is the standard time that you have from the moment you start a broadcast to the end? how much time do we really have to get the people to stay on?
Okay, so here's a catch. If you're if you're producing media for Facebook, okay,
Hmm.
I recommend like 10 to 15 minutes because they'll get on and get off. Okay. However, if you're producing teaching material, you have a choice. Things that we've done is we've taken one of my 45-minute sermons and we break it into 3 pieces. So on our website or on YouTube, YouTube is friendlier to longer
Right,
views. Your
right.
website is friendlier to longer views. So, for example, we did a Kingdom Flame a live broadcast last Saturday night. Okay.
Okay.
So we did a half hour of worship with Ingrid Rex at the keyboard. And then I preached for about 45 minutes. Then we took an offering. And then Ingrid went back and released a pair of new original songs and did a 1 hour extended worship set.
Oh,
Okay. Now, we streamed that live for everybody who watched it. But then this last week, we cut it into 2 pieces. The short worship set, um, we are not using because we're going to do another one of those on the next broadcast. Okay, its shelf life has expired. The sermon we took and we made a 45-minute Kingdom Insight episode, and it's on Kingdom Flame, and it's like 1,500 views now. Okay, then we took Ingrid's set of worship music and we made a independent 1 hour broadcast out of that. So out of a 3 hour meeting, very few people would watch the whole 3 hour live meeting.
right,
So we streamed it live, and everybody who wanted to be part of Kingdom Flame as a church, because we're a parachurch, we have church-like meetings, right?
right.
So everybody who wanted to be there was there. But now that that's done, people are now watching on demand. So if they're watching on demand, you could take the same content now and reformat it. If you're wanting to take your messages and really hit Facebook, you can edit it into 3 15-minute sections or just the message. Okay. And if the worship music is special, take the part that was special and make a broadcast out of it and split it up. Okay. So what I'm saying is that last Saturday night, we were live to the planet. I think, pushed it over Global Prophetic Voices Network. I think it's on your Facebook
Yeah, it's on
also.
Chicago Prophetic Voice. Yeah.
Right. So I pushed it over there and you can see the whole 3 hours. But live streamed church services have about a 2 week shelf life.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the content can be used. If the message is powerful, package the message in either the full message and put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube, put it on your website, or break it into smaller pieces.
Hmm.
Okay. And that now has a shelf life of could be years. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Now I want to ask you then, I just want to clarify. So you're saying that in order to keep us actually abreast of what's happening today, instead of drowning the people out and making them feel like, oh, I can't handle this, that if we break this up into sections, we may actually get more views than if we try to do it all in one bop. And then,
About 5 to 1. I've
yeah,
already had more views on the 2 shorter pieces
yeah,
than I had over the entire 3 hour service, because what happens is people get tired at a 3 hour service. The faithful, the Kingdom Flame faithful, or the
yeah.
Teresa Phillip faithful, there's a couple of people that watched on your channel because I could see we were on 3 different YouTubes, 3 different Facebooks. We were live on Twitter, maybe not 3 YouTubes, but anyway, we're on like 6 different channels, right? And I could see how many are on each. So there was like a couple of faithfuls that watched the whole 3 hours on Chicago Prophetic Voice. Okay. There were a bunch of people on the Kingdom Flame channel that are our faithful that watched that. Okay. But then other people, because it was on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, you'd see them join and they'd watch 10 minutes and then they'd fade, because social media tends to get people in the habit of watching 15 20 minute things. Okay. Um, so now that that's done, we're reusing the content because Kingdom Flame will leave that amazing introduction of 2 new original songs on Ingrid. Now her people are starting to like and share it.
Mhm.
Other people have started saying, hey, Ingrid's back, and people are reacting to it.
Yeah.
That happened after we split it out in its with its own title. It's only 1 hour long. Okay, when it was just Kingdom Flame Alive with preacher Dave Cranfill and psalmist Ingrid Rex. All right, it was what it was. But here's a
That's
thought:
wonderful. Now
your
I'm gonna,
lives, your
oh, I'm sorry.
well, no, your live Sunday service is cool, and your faithful will watch that.
Right.
But then, if you have something that's memorable or has shelf life on it, go ahead and split it out and put it up for on demand. Like re-put it, put it. See, so like on my Facebook page, you could see the live 3 hour meeting, 3 hours plus. Because Kingdom Flame. When we get going, we'll just worship till the power runs out. Okay.
Yeah, we do
Um,
that too, but you can't do that and try to expect the people to stay with you.
they're not
Now, I
going
want
to.
to ask you, you made a comment there about you were on several different streams. How do you go on several different streams at the same time?
Um,
Is
well,
it because of your server?
we pioneered that years
Okay,
ago. We use a Wowza streaming server, and I can do, like we used to broadcast the call, where I
right,
was hired. Kingdom Flame was hired as the broadcast engineer. So God TV did the set top boxes, and then Kingdom Flame did all the web. So what we did is we sent it to to our server, and then the server split it up. Now, there are services that you can now buy that can, all right, so this is where people have to do their homework. All right, I don't want to get above the people's heads on this broadcast, but you can, with Zoom, using like Open Broadcaster or Wirecast, send to multiple targets. You can, with StreamYard, send to multiple targets. You can, with Wowza, stream to multiple targets. It's known art. It does. Your technical person has to get their head around it and do the homework. But there's multiple ways to do it now. Back in the day, you had to have a multi-thousand-dollar server. But
right.
in the last year, you can do it with OBS with a plugin. You could do it with Wirecast. You could do it with StreamYard. You could do it still with Wowza. I think you could do it with the Livestream Studio that's part of Vimeo. The tools are now there, but they're beyond. So here's a thought. If you want to be in multiple places at once, you probably are already using a tool that can do it, but you have to do your homework.
Right.
All right, this is where your technical people have to come in, not on a Sunday. See, here's the thing. We all went into survival mode. Well, we didn't. I mean, we do this for a living. I was tinkering with the studio half an hour ago, changing out cables. He had a bad cable. Okay. But we were in a studio. This is the Glory Barn. You can see behind me. I'm at the pulpit up front, sitting here. Here's a thought. A lot of churches went into survival mode of, oh my God, we got to get the stream out because we're locked down by the big bad government and there's a plague out there. I mean, you sound like the person in Proverbs, what's it say? There's the guy that says there's a lion in the streets. Oh, I won't go outside because there's a lion in the, they said, the sluggard says there's a lion in the streets. Okay, like I can't go outside. Well, okay. A lot of ministries went into this survival mode. So they got to get a stream out. They got to do media. They got to whatever. Now you've survived. Now the brave new world is here and changing. So now begin to prosper, adapt, change, begin to work it. Okay, so this is where your media people go do their homework, and they do a test stream on a Wednesday night, and they go to 2 at once, or they go to 3 at once. Or just say, we're going to do YouTube and Facebook, or we're going to do our live stream, and then we're going to cut pieces up and put on-demand pieces on different channels on Kingdom Flame.
That's fantastic.
Does that
Now,
make sense?
what
Go
I would like
deeper,
what I'd like to ask you now is when you do the multiple channels, what is the load? Not the load isn't the right word, but what type of equipment should we be using? Should we be using a Mac? Should we be using a Dell? Should we be using our mobile phones? Should we be using a computer? What is really the number one tool to do that effectively?
Well, for any live stream for a professional ministry, I recommend a computer, not a phone, not a tablet. Okay. I also recommend that you use a wired internet connection, because the computer will be using 20, 30, 40, 50% of its processing. The tablet or the phone may be using all of it, which is great if you've just got this kind of picture.
Right.
But if you're changing camera shots, when you change the camera shot, it quadruples the load on the machine for a split second. Well, that's where your audio and video get out of sync. That's where things go bad. So first rule is use a computer. Second rule, it doesn't matter whether you use a Mac or a PC.
Okay.
If you love a Mac and your whole ministry uses Mac stuff, go for it. Macs are easy to use because they only allow Mac approved software and hardware. So it's pretty much guaranteed to work, but you are paying about a 50% Apple tax for that privilege, meaning I could stream perfectly well at the same quality level and horsepower on a $900 gaming Windows PC that you can on a $2,000 Mac laptop, because
That's wonderful.
they both
That's
have a Core i7 high-end processor. Okay. The point is, a gaming laptop, you know, the best bang for the buck, Teresa, if people are buying a machine, is buy a gaming machine designed for the kids to game on, because they will always have 4 to 8 cores of processor. They will have a powerful video engine for rendering the game, and they make perfect streaming computers. And you can buy them for about $1,000. And to match that quality on a Mac, you got to spend 2,000 to 3,000 on a MacBook.
That's really great information. And I know we're getting close to our time here. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be watching this broadcast inside the website of Destiny Arising. And there's going to be a button in between these videos so that you can give a donation for this summit. And we would like you to give a donation to this summit. Right now, we have had David Cranfill, the master of shepherding the internet for the prophets. He's a shepherd for the prophets. I call him the media shepherd. I really do, because he's really at the top. And listen to him. He's teaching you. He's giving you tools. I want you to write down the tools. Go back and listen to him. And I'm also going to put a task out for him to write down some of these tools so we can upload that file so that you can get that. Because we need to know, Dave. We need to know about what are the best streaming sources outside of Kingdom Flame. Because if any of you really want a
You could hire
professional
us.
job done,
I recommend you hire a professional.
you really need Dave Cranfill. You really need Kingdom Flame, because this is what he's doing. He's advancing the kingdom, and he's carrying the torch for many, many ministries, and not just ministries. He's got people that are not Christians that are using his services too. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this man is at the top of the media mountain, but most of you don't know it. And I want you to know it. I want you to know him. I want you to cheer him on. If you have questions for him, I want you to email him at David. Give your email.
The best way to get a hold of me would be to go to kingdomflame.com and click the Contact Us button, because that way they don't have to remember a big long email. But any question, for just say, ask Pastor Dave how to do this.
Yes.
And it'll be routed to me by the team here, and I'll get it. But you know, just guys, it's really simple. Start thinking what's next with media. It's like we all went in survive mode. Now, what can we do to build with it? All right, start thinking, just like when you started off building your churches or your ministry, you said, okay, we did our first event or we did our first service. Now what's next? Oh, we need a bigger building. Well, start thinking about that and praying into that on media, because it's now married to your building. You're now always going to be doing 50% live and 50% media. It's now here to stay. And the other thought is, don't be afraid to hire a professional. You know, some ministries have a global reach. If your ministry has a global reach and you have a 21-year-old beginner running your media, keep using them to edit video and put things on your website. But you might want to hire a professional as a consultant to help you get to the global level. Because here's the thing, if you're not competitive, the anointing punches through things, but people have to listen long enough
Yes.
to feel that anointing. If your audio and video is rough, or it's just a amateur meeting, nothing ever changes, no screenshots, no nothing, you may hinder yourself. So this is a place where start thinking. It's like, okay, we survived by, scrapping up a couple of cameras and, putting something together. I know one church where I helped them repair 2 broken cameras that the youth group had broken, and they've been thrown in a drawer. And they're like, we can't afford cameras. And I said, what are these? Well, these are broken. Well, it took $100, $200 worth of parts, and they were streaming. Okay. But now that they're done with that, they've now bought a nice camera. They've now replaced some things, and they're starting to think, okay, now start building toward the new reality.
To
Okay,
that new
start thinking that
reality,
way. Yeah,
yes. To
yeah.
that
And that
new
may involve
reality.
new equipment, that may involve consultants or professionals. Okay, we do consulting, and we do producing. We'll produce your school or conference. We've done
And
hundreds
he's
of
done
them.
it, ladies and gentlemen. He's helped me out quite a bit. He's been at our encounters. He has streamed us. He has interviewed me. He's allowed me to minister on his servers and his network, which we're so honored that we've been on that, Dave. We've been so honored to have you in
Thank
our
you.
life. But I
It's
want
an
you to
honor
go
to
to
have you.
Kingdom Flame, and I want you to subscribe to
Yep.
kingdomflame.com.
Get a free membership on Kingdom Flame. There's about 200 free videos up there right now. And it's stuff that you can't buy at any price.
That's right. That's right. And I want you to go and subscribe. I also want you to go to destinyarising.net. Subscribe to destinyarising.net. Get a hold of us. We are your cheerleaders for your dream, for your vision. We have a saying here at Destiny Arising, yes, you can. And we want you to dream big and do it. Become a member today and enjoy the rest of the summit.